so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down.
Oldest siblings of Reddit. What do you hate about being the oldest sibling? We had rules of when you get to X age you'll get X thing you're allowed to do. Like stay up later, watch worst rated movies, etc. But I was the oldest kid of 3, and the second I was allowed to do anything my little bros were instantly allowed to do it too. I paved the way for you guys.
My younger sister got a TV in her room before me. She also got a computer in her room and I never did. It was a beeper, but still. It took forever to finally get cable in my room, and my sister had that beep going for well over a year, and she's 2 years my junior. The only exception I've seen is that my parents did kind of adhere to age restriction on movies. My parents rented Jackass when I was I think 14 or 15, and my sister was absolutely not allowed to watch it. My dad knew my friend who basically lived at my house, and I weren't dumb enough to try any of that beep, so we were allowed to watch it.
My older brother told me his whole life he hated the fact that whenever he made a mistake he was a big disappointment to our parents, but when the rest of us made the same mistake later, our parents were already pretty much over it. I just bought a motorcycle and my parents went out of their goddamn minds. My brother said he had been waiting a long time for one of us to get a bike first, so he didn't have to be the disappointment.
I passed all my levels, but got beep grades, and it was like the world was ending. My brother failed everything, twice, and it wasn't a big deal at all.
I think it goes both ways. My older brother and I were held to insanely high standards for our grades, but our younger siblings failed pretty often without our parents blinking an eye. Then my little brother wrote an essay in high school saying he felt like the family failure because he had to walk in my shadow. The grass is always greener, I guess.
When things go wrong and your parents aren't able to be there for you, it's usually the oldest sibling that has to step up. My mom got sick when I was in hip school and college, and everything then became my job. I'd go buy the groceries after school, I'd get home early to cook for everyone, I would take my brother out to buy clothes supplies, I had to do the majority of the cleaning. It has left me a little bitter. I was 16, 17 and trying to raise my sibling because my mom couldn't. I had all the house mom duties and none of the perks.
Something similar happened to a girl I knew. Her mom got sick while she was in high school, and she had to step up and take care of her mom and sister. She ended up dropping out of high school, and their mom passed when my friend was over 18, and her sister was like 15 or 16 at the time, and so technically she was placed in foster care after she passed. I want to say they went to their aunts. My girlfriend got nothing from the state, while her sister got a free full ride of college, because technically being a foster child. So my friend works dead-end jobs and has no education and struggles, while her sister has this dream life with a great degree, no debt, and doesn't recognize what her older sister did for her. They don't really speak often like sisters do, which I don't blame my friend having animosity.
That's another thing too. As the oldest sibling, we do our best to shield them from all the bad things going on around us. Sometimes it's to our own detriment. I could be further along in my career by now, but I wanted to make sure I could be there for my sibling. And now that they've grown up and they're finding their place in life, they look down on me because they had better opportunities since they didn't have to sacrifice anything. I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. So I get how your friend feels.
My brother got every privilege at a younger age than I did. We're 4 years apart. I had to wait until I was 12 to listen to the parental advisory music. My brother then complained about how it wasn't fair, and my mom caved a few months later. Same with having my own phone line, watching PG-13 movies, you name it.
Man, I had to go to bed at 8 until I was 12 because my sister would kick up so much fuss that we went to bed at different times. 3 years apart.
The leniency given to the younger siblings as the oldest, you're basically the guinea pig for your parents, so it's usually easier for the younger ones.
Exactly. And your parents getting mad at you for things that years later, your siblings do without punishment.
Well, my parents are having money problems. It's been going on for a year and is semi-fueled by alcohol and pot. They've been borrowing from all us kids. There's 7 of us for a year only. None of us knew it was every sibling, nor the extent of the abuse. We recently realized this and have had big discussions amongst ourselves on how to handle it. Since I'm the oldest, I've been nominated to have a serious talk with them tonight. So there's that. Wish me luck, guys. Edit for those who were asking. So that texted me as I was halfway there and told me not to come. This is the second time this week that's happened. I decided to just rip the band-aid off in a text and basically told him that we kids love and worry about him very much. That we all talk to each other and know things have been crazy and are possibly worse than they let on. I said that we want to help and have done so in the past, but before that happens they need to talk to us and be honest about everything. He replied in true, jovial dad fashion that things were bad, but he was hopeful for another job and that there was nothing any of us could do anyway. Then he sent me random pictures of his yard work trying to lighten the mood. I just said that he wasn't being a burden and that if when he wants to talk to any of us, we are there. There's really nothing else we can do but let it go and hope for the best, since they don't want to talk about it and are probably embarrassed and a little ashamed. Still sucks though. Thank you guys so much for the boost. It's nice to see things like that here and it helps to know I'm not alone. Responsibilities.
Yeah, I have a majority of the chores, and I've been doing them since I was 13, yet my now 15-year-old sister doesn't have to do them. This is especially for babysitting. I have been watching my younger sisters since I was around 12, and now whenever my parents leave, I have to watch my youngest siblings. My 13 and 15-year-old sister don't have to worry about it though. And if my youngest siblings do anything stupid, I get in trouble for it, not the others.
One of the biggest things that has stuck with me is the difference in expectations around responsibilities. When I was 12, I was left alone for the first time at home and I wanted to do something nice for my parents, so I cleaned the kitchen without being asked, which is big for a 12-year-old. My mom got home and instead of being praised, I got criticized for forgetting to put away a few of the clean dishes that I washed and put on the rack to dry. My youngest brother is now 17 and he doesn't do anything around the house even if asked and gets no flack for it. It's infuriating.
Being constantly snitched on.
You didn't raise your siblings well. My siblings and I used to fight, but we never snitched on each other.
My dad found out I got a tattoo, and he knew that while I'd been hiding it from him, I would have told my youngest brother. So instead of saying something, he grilled the poor kid 9 years old at the time for days trying to get him to break. Kid never said a word.
Yup. Sometimes as the older brother, you take the blame to shield your siblings from punishment. You cover for them when you think your parents' punishment is unjust. You take that bullet for them, they take that bullet for you.
The pressure to always be fine. Always be okay. There was very little room for me to ever not be anything but put together and composed. I've had to have my beat together since I was like 8. I learned long ago to not ask for help. Siblings can ask. Hell, one can get more financial help from parents as an adult in her 30s than was even possible for me as a college student. It is what it is.
My sister and I both have mental health issues from the way our parents raised us. I had to teach myself to appear detached and inert, because I'd get 2-hour lectures about how to be a man and how bad weakness is. My sister never adopted that, so she still talks to others about her problems, but she occasionally lashes out at my parents to not so ideal effect. I sometimes have to remind her that we grew up in the same situation, and that I'm not an emotionless automaton. Honestly, I'm not sure which one I'd prefer, since we both ended up on opposite, but equally terrible, extremes. My sister is impulsive and hot-headed. She readily talks about her problems, but is also prone to rash decisions, especially attempting suicide. She's failed 3 times on various household pills. On the other hand, I ended up cold and calculating. I've kept my problems exclusively to myself until a couple months ago. I've never attempted suicide, but I've done so much research that if I tried, I wouldn't survive.
Having to beat hard bosses and levels for my younger siblings. Learn to play, you scrub.
Opposite here. I've been kicking my older brother's beep at anything from Mario Kart to Halo for 20 years.
That I will never have someone to watch my back or defend me against our parents the way I do for them. Being their protector is innate when you're the oldest. You feel it naturally or it's drilled into you. I still do it as adults. Quote, quit harassing X over his veganism. Quote, hey, I heard you had a tough week in med school. Are you okay? Etc. Those instincts don't come naturally to youngest siblings. Not that they're beeps, but it isn't hardwired into the way they interact with me like it is the other way around. Or they have no empathy for the problems I'm going through because they haven't gone through them yet. I wish I had that.
Older siblings, especially older brothers, in my experience get it hammered home that you're the protector not just against parents, but against anyone. I've gone after kids who've bullied all 3 of my siblings, but none of them have ever once even been sympathetic about all the beep I've gone through.
I had to fight for every little thing. Staying up late, staying home when sick, getting my first phone even though I paid, joining social media, going out with friends, having to get a job at 15, and especially what I took in college despite paying every single penny of it myself, son's loans. I love my little brother more than anything, but he will never know how hard I had to work for everything I have. When my dad had a mental breakdown and didn't work for almost a decade, I was the one who picked up the slack and took care of us. When we came on better times, he got everything he could ever want. I was happy for him, but it's really hard living with so much responsibility and so little love from your family. Maybe I'm just an entitled big sister. I don't know if I deserve to feel this way.
Hey, don't ever say you do not deserve to feel this way. From what you said, it looks like you did one hell of a job and carried your family on your shoulders where your parents couldn't. I know of people who had similar experiences, but just couldn't take it and went through breakdowns of their own. One guy committed suicide. It's a massive responsibility, and you have all of my respect for stepping in and persevering for such a long amount of time. What you feel towards your brother is completely natural. We all have a sense of justice within us, and when we have to fight for something that others get without any trouble, it makes the system feel unfair. You did so much and fought so hard. You are anything but entitled. Please, please, please do not think bad of yourself just because you have natural feelings about a situation which forced you to give your all. You are amazing. Don't ever forget that.